Welcome to channel Guruvartha Kirti. Myself N.A. Papati, Assistant Professor ECE, Vaigai College of Engineering. In this video, we are going to discuss about the proof of sampling theorem. So before going to discuss about proof of sampling theorem, we'll be discussing little bit about sampling. So sampling is nothing but it is the process of converting analog into digital, right? We have discussed already. Process of converting analog signal into digital. Sampling is common in all pulse modulation technique. It is common for all pulse modulation technique. The signal is sampled at regular intervals such that each sample is proportional to amplitude of signal at that instant. Analog signal is sampled at every instant. Analog signal is sampled at every instant. Each instant there will be a peak. There will be a peak. So it is sampled at a rate Fs is greater than or equal to 2 FM. This is nothing but sampling frequency. This is nothing but twice the time of message signal frequency. Twice the time of message signal frequency. Original spectrum is centered around W equal to 0, omega equal to 0 and having bandwidth omega m. The spectrum can be recovered by passing through low pass filter with a cutoff frequency of omega m. Fs is less than 2 FM means the sampled spectrum will be overlapped. That thing we'll be discussing at the end of the proof of sampling theorem. So sampling methods, there are three important methods. One is ideal sampling and another one is natural sampling, another one is flat F sampling. Your analog signals are converted by means of discrete pulses at every instant or instantaneous sampled. There will be a peak as it is means this is called ideal sampling. Natural means a pulse of short width with varying amplitude. There is no flat pulses, but there will be some peak. There will be some peak at every instant. This is called natural sampling. This peak value can be converted by means of flat pulses. This is called flat up sampling. So for in order to get the flat up sample, what we will be doing after sampling, the pulse can be sent through the quantizer. After quantizer, the pulses will be get flattened. So these are the three important methods of sampling methods: ideal sampling, natural sampling and flat up sampling. So natural sampling means the spectrum is weighted by sinc function. The spectrum is weighted by sinc function. Sinc function means it is nothing but weight. The spectrum is weighted by sinc function. That means this is about your analog signal and this is about your sinc function. That is sample amplitude. This can be multiplied del of t minus n into ts. This is a delta function. This can be multiplied with each and every instant of message signal. That time we will be getting what? Natural sampling. Flat up means here that samples are remains constant in the spectrum of high frequency component are attenuated due to sinc pulse or roll off. This is called aperture effect. If the pulse width increases, aperture effect is more attenuation of high frequency component is there. So the top of pulses remains constant. In the spectrum, high frequency components are attenuated due to sinc pulse roll off. This is known as aperture effect. Aperture effect means amplitude will be disturbed by the nearby pulses. So this amplitude gets distorted, mean that effect is known as aperture effect. If the pulse width increases, aperture effect is more and more attenuation of high frequency component. Here we are going to discuss about the sampling theorem. This is very very important, 13 marks in 5th unit. Very very important. First important 13 mark is about sampling theorem and its proof. So sampling theorem is nothing but your message signal, analog signal, is converted by means of discrete pulses. Each and every instant it can be represented as a samples. So samples at a rate Fs is greater than or equal to 2 omega. So your analog signals are sampled and represented by means of samples at every instant. After sampling, this can be recovered from the sampled signal. The original signals can be recovered back. So there are two important part is there in sampling theorem. One is representation of your continuous time signal into samples. After samples, that can be recovered back your original signal. This is what your two part. So based upon that, we will be having two definitions, two important definition. This first definition says about part 1. The second definition says about part 2. Part 1 says your continuous time signal can be represented by means of its samples. The part 2 definition says that from the sampled signal you are recovering the original analog signal. This is this says about your second statement. Second part. So in that the statement of sampling theorem says that a band limited signal of finite energy which has no frequency component higher than WHz, it's completely described by specifying the value of signal at an instant of time separated by 1 by 2 omega seconds. 1 by 2 omega seconds. So this is your continuous time signal. This can be represented as a pulses. This is called samples. At every instant, this is time period, this is amplitude, Ts, 2Ts, 3Ts, 4Ts, 5Ts. So at every instant, this instant is 1 by 2 omega seconds. 1 by 2 omega seconds. A band limited signal of finite energy. The whole width is about WH. This is about the band limited signal. It is a low pass signal. The sampling theorem stated for low pass signal. Your information is 1 hertz to some higher. 1 hertz to some higher. The entire the entire signal bandwidth. This bandwidth is about WHz. A band limited signal of finite energy which has no frequency component higher than WHz is completely described by specifying the values of signal at an instant of time separated by 2 omega seconds. So this instant is 2 omega seconds. So this is the statement of first part. That means your everything can be represented at every instant. It can be represented as a samples. The whole thing is T. Every instant is 1 by 2 omega seconds. That means Fs. This is what your first part. So after sampling, the original information is recovered back from the sampled signal. This is what your second statement. This says about a band limited signal of finite energy which has no frequency component higher than WHz may be completely recovered from the knowledge of its samples at a rate 2 omega samples per second. So at a rate from the sampled signal, we are recovering the original signal is set in this second part. A band limited signal of finite energy. This energy is also WHz. Bandwidth is higher than WHz may be completely recovered from the knowledge of its samples at the rate of 2 omega samples per second. 2 omega samples per second. So this is what the proof of sampling theorem. In this two part can be combined into single part. This two part is combined into single part called a continuous time signal can be completely represented by samples and required back if the sampling is twice the highest frequency content of signal. Here Fs is greater than or equal to 2 omega. Fs is greater than or equal to 2 omega. Fs is greater than or equal to 2 omega means sampling frequency. Omega means highest frequency content of signal. Highest frequency content of signal. So in this graph we can identify the identify the sampling. Here this is about continuous time signal. This is weighted by sync pulse. That means unit impulse function. So if anything is multiplied with that unit pulses multiplied with this unit pulses multiplied with continuous time signal at the instant at every instant there will be amplitude in the continuous time signal. This can be multiplied with this unit impulse function. You will be getting sampled signal. So this is a continuous time signal. At this instant there will be one amplitude. At this instant there will be one amplitude. At this instant. So at every instant there will be amplitude for continuous time signal. This is multiplied with the delta function. That means unit impulse function. At every instant a delayed unit impulse function. So at every instant there will be a peak of 1. So this is multiplied with at every instant. At this instant you will be getting some peak value. This is called representation of signal. So next we are going to discuss about the proof of this sampling theorem. Here you consider there are two parts. First part is the representation of x of t in representation of x of t in terms of its samples. Second part is reconstruction of x of t from its samples. So first part is about representation of x of t in terms of its samples. The second part is about reconstruction of x of t from this sampled signal, right? So first part consists of 4 steps. The step 1 is x del of t, definition of x del of t, and Fourier transform of x del of t, relation between x of f and x del of f, relationship between x of t and x of nts. So first we are going to discuss about the first part. Here you consider the definition of x del of t. As we discussed earlier in the figure, we have considered this is about the continuous time signal, right? This is about the continuous time signal. This is about the del of t minus n into ts. That is it is multiplied with the unit impulse function. At that, after that you will be getting sampled signal. Here this is about x of t. This is multiplied with x del of t minus nts. After that you will be getting x del of t. From the figure we are identified as this equation. So define x del of t. X del of t, how we get it is multiplied with x of t, del of t minus nts. Here x of t is the input signal, continuous time signal, and del of t minus n into ts is about your periodic pulse waveform. So by taking Fourier transform for this, you will be getting second step. So if Fourier transform for x del of t, you will be getting x del of capital X del of f. And in the same way, we are taking Fourier transform for x of t, you will be getting x of f. In the same way, summation of n equal to minus infinity to plus infinity del of t minus n into ts. According to the impulse function, unit impulse function, Fourier transform of this, you will be getting fs into summation n equal to minus infinity to plus infinity del of f minus nfs. You will be getting del of f minus nfs. that you will be seeing here. So this is about the Fourier transform of this thing. In time domain, the product is considered. In frequency domain, this can be considered as convolution. So time multiplication in time domain results in convolution in frequency domain. So x del of f, by taking Fourier transform for x del of f, x of t, you will be getting x of f, summation del of t minus nts, you will be getting fs into del of f minus n into fs. That you have to apply here. That you have to apply here. So x del of f becomes x of f convolution. So multiplication in time domain results in convolution in frequency domain. So x of f, fs del of f minus s. So since convolution is linear, so what you have to do is fs you bring it outside and you have to multiply. You have to convolve with x of f and del of fs. Anything is multiplied with the delta function, you will be getting that function. If x of f is multiplied with del means you will be getting x, because del is equivalent to 1. So 1 is multiplied with anything means you will be getting that particular value. So finally you will be getting this equation according to the property of impulse function. According to the property of impulse function, fs is equal to, by shifting property of impulse function, fs is equal to that x of f is multiplied with del, you will be getting x of n. Suppose if you are expanding this equation, what you will get? Minus infinity to plus infinity, you have to expand. fs is there. So here the expansion happened for minus 2 to plus 2. You consider that equation. If minus 2 is applied here means you will be getting plus equation. X of f plus, here minus 1 we are applying means we will be getting plus, and 0 if you are applying means n is equal to 0 means what you will get? X of f only you will be getting. Then if you are applying plus 1 means minus fs, plus 2 means minus 2 fs you will be getting. So this is what happened in this equation. So from this proof we can conclude that the RHS of the above equation, x of f is placed at every instant. So your x of f is placed at every x of f instant. You have plus or minus fs, plus or minus 2 fs, plus or minus 3 fs. X of f is periodic with fs. So every time it will repeats according to fs. If each sampling frequency is, the sampling frequency here we are taking as fs is equal to 2 omega, not any other case. Here we will be taking fs is equal to 2 omega. This is the spectrum of so this is original spectrum x of f. The spectrum is nothing but anything can be represented by means of Fourier transform. It will be a spectrum. That means it is a frequency content of signal. A continuous time signal can be represented as a frequency domain representation, means the entire signal can be a frequency domain, means it will be a frequency signal. Continuous time signal can be represented as a frequency signal. Frequency representation of signal is known as Fourier. By means of Fourier transform we will be representing the continuous time signal into frequency domain signal. This is original spectrum. The equation 2, the expansion is known as like this: fs into x of f, 2fs into x of f, minus fs into, we have expanded that equation to second equation, minus 2 to plus 2. That representation is here. So this is band limited signal WHz. This is about the bandwidth. Spectrum means there will be a bandwidth na. So this is called what? W is the highest frequency. This is called lowest frequency. Minus of minus omega 2 omega hertz. So here sampling frequency we have taken as 2 omega hertz. Sampling frequency we have taken here as 2 omega hertz. So here this is W, this is W. After that it will be repeating. Why the spectrum is touches here means here we are taking sampling frequency is equal to 2 omega hertz. Here we are taking sampling frequency is equal to 2 omega hertz. So next thing is about the relationship between x of f and x del of f. In this figure, this is x del of f. This is obtained by means of fs into x of f. So in that equation, x del of f is obtained from x of f into fs. So fs into x of f. Let us consider here the spectrum touches each other. Why it touches each other means because we are taking fs is equal to 2 omega. If you are taking 2 omega, then the f is between minus omega to plus omega. Limit is fs is 2 omega we are taking, and the f is between minus omega to plus omega. So x del of f is, it is the multiplication of x of f into fs. From that we are getting x of f, where x of f is 1 by this equation can be rearranged. This 1 by fs goes there left side. So 1 by fs into x del of f. X del of f. So the fourth step is about, next step is about relation between third step, relation between x of f and x del of f. We have to get sampled signal we have to get. So for that we are going for the relation between x del of f and x of f. We have to assume here fs is equal to 2 omega as per the above diagram that we have discussed already, and this is about the relationship between x of t and x of nt. At this step we are going to calculate the sampled signal. So relationship between x of t and x of nts. For that you have to consider discrete time Fourier transform. Here this omega is known as analog omega, analog frequency. This frequency is known as digital frequency. We know that already in digital signals and systems. We will be having two kind of omega. This is this one and this one. This is about analog frequency, angular frequency. This is about digital. So discrete time Fourier transform is represented as analog frequency x of n e power minus j omega n. This omega can be represented angular frequency 2 pi f. So this omega is represented in terms of x of f. So x of f means here also we have to replace it into f. So this omega is represented as 2 pi fn. So here we are representing here 2 pi fn. Now this is about a discrete time signal. If you are making this discrete time Fourier transform into continuous time, what you have to do is, instead of this f, you have to replace it as x of f into fs. Instead of x of n, you have to replace it as into x of n into ts. So in order to get the samples. So here it is there. So in above, f is the frequency of discrete time signal. If we replace x by x del of f, then f becomes a continuous time signal. So x of f by x del of f we are replacing. After that, this can be replaced as f is replaced as fs. f can be replaced as fs. So x of n e power minus j 2 pi f by fs into n. Then f becomes a continuous time signal and f by fm becomes a discrete time signal. Instead of that, x of n will be replacing x of n into ts. So n into ts we are replacing in this equation. So 1 by fs can be replaced as ts. So here ts can be replaced as n into ts. So after that your equation becomes like this. This is what your x del of f. At the step 3 we will be calculating x del of f is equal to 1 by fs into, at the step of x del of f is equal to fs into x of f, where x of f is equal to, from this x of f is equal to, this fs brings you this side here, will be getting 1 by fs. So this x del of f can be putting into, we are putting into x of f equation in expression equation 3. In the step 3 we are replacing, instead of x of f can be replaced as 1 by fs into x del of f. So 1 by fs, x del of f already we have calculated here, that can be replaced. This is what your the representation of signal. The first part we have proved here. X of f can be replaced as its in terms of samples. So x of t can be represented in terms of x of n into ts. This is what the proof. This is what the proof of first part. So inverse Fourier transform of above equation, you will be getting what? From the sampled signal we are recovering the original signal x of t. For that what you have to do, you have to take inverse Fourier transform for this. Inverse Fourier transform. So comment here is, what you have to do is, here x of t is represented by its x of nts. fs is we are taking as here as 2 omega. This means that if samples are taken at the rate of 2 omega or higher, x of t is completely represented by its samples. So at this rate, the x of t is represented by its sample. First part of the sampling theorem is proved by above two commands. So up to this, the first part is over. So the second part we will be discussing in next class. So thank you students. Thank you for watching.